Welcome back to episode 2 of Lockdown Fever, where I chew the fat with athletes to find out how life in lockdown is treating them. I caught up with Chris Draper, who has lived and breathed sailing his whole life. He's an Olympic medalist, he has won multiple world and European championships and has campaigned in 2 America's Cups. He is the CEO of British SailGP team and a sports fanatic, and for a time lived on a boat with his wife and 2 young children. So does that mean they are already pros at living life in close quarters? Let's find out. Thank you for doing this for me.
All right, no worries. I'm a bit covered in sawdust. I'm sorry about that.
What's been going on?
We were just making something in the garage with Harry, my son. But so, how are things going with you?
Yeah, we're all fine. I'm a bit nervous with girls. They're watching TV, which should sort of keep them occupied for a bit, but they also know that I'm doing something in here, so it's like the temptation is so much to come in and say hello. So never mind, we'll be fine. Yeah, so thank you for joining me, and it was just sort of catching up with you and finding out about life in lockdown. So what have you been up to in the garage with Harry?
We were actually making an Indo board, you know, like a balance board that you put on a roller. So stealing one of my wife's a physio, so stealing one of her foam rollers and then chucking a board on it as a balance board because it started raining, so he wanted to do something on a board because he couldn't skateboard today.
I love
but
it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of DIY, which generally making a hash of, but yeah, it's been good fun.
Are you not a DIY man?
Not normally. I try and shirk it about as hard as I can, but I've completed all the jobs outside now. But I'm starting to have to move on to the indoor ones, but I keep on trying to find outdoor ones.
For anyone that's always had that list that they've always promised the family they got on with, now there's no excuses. You've got to get on with that.
Yeah.
List.
Well, I've completed the list of outdoor jobs, and I promised H that I would do the indoor jobs when it started raining, and today's the first day of raining. We had a problem with our heating system, so we fixed that earlier, which was good fun. That was a whole team effort.
You fixed it. I know when I contacted.
Yeah, wife and daughter there holding torches, me trying to get pins of pipes, and on the phone to a bunch of friends that are plumbers. Like, I'm not sure about this, but it seems to be, touch wood, it seems to be running all right.
So paint a bit of a picture. Obviously, apart from tearing the heating system apart, paint a picture. You've got H and your 2 young kids. Paint a picture for me for what life in lockdown is like for you guys.
To be honest, it's been really nice, to be honest, in many ways. I mean, obviously, giving aside what's going on around us, in terms of as a family, like we've had some really awesome time together, the 4 of us, and we've had a lot of fun. And we're so lucky to have a garden, and so lucky that the weather's been so glam. And then also, I think we feel quite lucky that we've done some homeschooling in the past with our kids, so they've kind of fallen back into that quite easily. Although we just got the plans for the weeks ahead with the homeschooling from school, and that's got like an 8:30 assembly and all this other stuff, and it finishes at 3:15. It looks a little bit more stringent to the program we were running. But so yeah, we carried on with school because we thought we'd just keep it going and do less, but I guess we didn't anticipate how much the school was going to ramp it up in the next days. But so yeah, lots of school, and then my son's been doing lots of skateboarding. I actually dislocated my shoulder 5 weeks ago today, so I've been doing lots of rehab on that, and painting rooms with my left hand and stuff like that. Lots of stuff with my left hand. And then my wife's H injured her knee when we were skiing this winter, so she's been rehabbing that as well. So actually, for her and I, we couldn't have done much anyhow. We just would have been doing rehab. So we've been doing lots of that, and to be honest, trying to get fit and looking after ourselves, and probably drunk a bit too much wine, as I suspect most people have. But yeah, lots of Zwift. I've discovered that on the road bike. I've blown a few tires up and given myself a shock. But yeah, it's been, we've had, I think we've managed to make the best of it, and looking forward to getting out and about. But at the same time, it's been a nice time to be constricted as a family, and really get that time together.
it sounds like you're all busy. And in fact, you touched on loads of things I wanted to talk about there. And one, you mentioned that you've homeschooled before, because of course, was it about a year ago you came back? You've been living on board a cruising cat with your family. So, you know, you've homeschooled before, and you've been used to living in close proximity. Does that mean you guys are pros at this, or is it chucking up very different challenges?
No, I don't know. I would love to take some credit, but it's very much my wife. I mean, I did some today with Lil, because H was doing some online physio consultancy. But yeah, I think the kids are, Harry is our eldest. He's 9, and he's very good at just sitting down and getting on with it. Lily is little bit harder, our youngest, to keep focused and concentrating. So she takes a little bit more effort. And when we did have that time living on the boat, and the kids we were homeschooling, I guess we weren't as worried about our youngest compared to our eldest. And actually, when we came back, it was our youngest, inevitably, as most people will say listening to this, but that was actually a bit further, was a bit behind, and then Harry was in really good shape. So yeah, I think so she takes a little bit more effort than Harry, but H does a lot of that, and then I've been doing some work in the mornings, and then lots of jobs on the house as well, and trying to get into that stuff. So, but yeah, I feel fortunate that we've done the homeschool before, and the kids actually really quite appreciate it. I think they quite enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a massive juggling act at the moment, isn't it? Because obviously you're CEO of the British SailGP team, so you've got to manage all that, be there for your children. But I remember when we were on social media, you know, the pictures from when you were on that cat were absolutely incredible. Everything was like golden sands, because you were in the Caribbean most of the time, weren't you? So did you ever suffer from cabin fever on there? You know, like sort of living in sort of kind of isolation, even though obviously you could get off the boat and you could sail and everything. It's slightly different, but are there any similarities to now?
Yeah. I mean, we did get some big cabin fever when we first moved on the boat. I remember, like, we had kind of like the honeymoon period of about 3 or 4 weeks, and then yeah, we had a 2 or 3 week period where I was just wanted to sell the thing immediately, but then we broke through that, and it was all good, and we were madly into it, and it got better and better. And I guess I don't think we've had a few moments of that during this, but not so bad. I got a bit frustrated yesterday. The surf's been really, really good. So it gets quite frustrating looking at some of the webcams where there's people able to walk. Not that I could even surf anyhow with my shoulder, but there's like people able to walk to the surf, and they're getting to go surfing a bit and stuff. But obviously plenty of opinions in the world on whether that should be going on or not. But there's, yeah, just a few cabin fever moments, but generally not much. Maybe our daughter's been a little bit tearier than normal occasionally, but I think that's probably part and parcel for everybody.
I think I've been a little bit more teary than usual. You mentioned surfing then. I mean, you're an extreme sports fanatic. Obviously, you sail for a living. I know you love surfing and you love snowboarding. I know we're kind of supposed to be in snowboarding now. So yeah. Are you trying to limit, you know, you're talking about how good the surf was yesterday, and just trying to be like, it's just a situation we're all going through. I know I love those things, but it's very different when you're suddenly inside the perimeters of your own home and garden.
Yeah. Well, we've been, my son, like, I wish my dad had done the same for me, but we built him a skate ramp at the end of last year. So, and he's been on that the whole time, which is probably pretty irresponsible of us, because of the risk of injury. But we get him pretty much with every item of padding that he could possibly put on. And then, so it's been really fun helping him on that, which has been really cool. So he's actually been getting lots of board sport action. And then, yeah, I mean, we were thinking about that the other day, you know, the lockdown started, I think we were due to be going away. We were hoping to go on like the 20th or 22nd or something, and we were planning on staying there for 3 or 4 weeks. So yeah, so we missed that end of that snow, but I don't think that the ski season ended that well in Europe anyhow. So I don't think we missed that bad. But yeah, I think it's probably easy to spend too long looking at webcams or on social media thinking about what you could be doing, isn't it? And I think, yeah, you send yourself bloody mad.
That's kind of suggesting that you have been, and now you're trying to tell yourself.
Yeah, there has been a few moments. Watched a lot of films.
What are you watching? What are you binging on? Any recommendations?
We realised that there were like 3 series of Homeland we hadn't watched, so we watched a lot of that, and then a lot of movies. We've got some real bad, embarrassing TV that we like to watch, and we're secretly quite big Made in Chelsea fans, so we've watched a bit of that. I can't believe I just admitted that, but there you go.
That one coming. Is that Go on, tell me it's you.
No, it's age. Of course, it's age. Nothing to do with me.
I just happen to be on the sofa watching for every episode. Okay, secret safe. So you're watching that, but in terms of extreme sports, because you mentioned it a little while ago, you've got to stay fit, because when lockdown does finish, and we've got to sort of be back and ready and raring to go where you are. And I know you've got a shoulder problem. So how are you keeping fit? You know, I'm really interested to hear how people are managing it, because obviously there's been a huge craze across the world that people like working on their health whilst in lockdown, but you actually have to do it for your career and your living, and it's not an easy option when you're at home.
Yeah, I mean, normally, to be honest, I'd try and take care of it by just doing lots of sport, like you say, like do lots of kiting and a bit of mountain biking and things like that, but and then lots of surfing, and more recently I haven't really done that much sailing, to be honest, but it's made me realize how much I miss sailing, and that's great, but and also I guess I've got into doing I can now get my arm out and ride on a bike in static, so that's good. So I've been using a turbo trainer quite a lot, which we got all set up for H because she's rehabbing an ACL injury on her knee, and so I've been using her bike, just getting the saddle up and back as far as it goes. Fortunately, I'm not very tall, so I can get away with using her bike, and getting into Watopia on Zwift, which has been good. I'm pretty rubbish, but it's good fun. And then I actually started running again, which has been good. I used to run loads when we were in Bermuda, did heaps. So, and after we got off the boat, my legs are kind of had gone to toffee, so I hadn't really been managing to run. But so that's been really nice. I'm running with the dog and stuff. And we got really nice country lanes just straight out the front door. And then running with and Harry, my son's been coming running with me quite a bit as well, which has been good. And then lots of I do lots of yoga and stretching and things like that and that's been really good for the rehab for my shoulder as well. So I've been doing lots of that and slowly getting to move. And then this morning we did a Pilates class online with Sarah Tidy, a good friend of ours, which was really good fun as well. So yeah, a bit of variety, but generally about rehab. But then starting in the last sort of 2.5 weeks now, I've got my shoulders working a bit again, a bit more aerobic stuff, which has been good.
That's great news about your shoulder. I mean, how's it going? How long have you got left till you can do stuff with it?
Well, I mean, if I'd have had to be going sailing, like it would have been I would have been getting ready to go sailing in about a week's time, which I probably would have been able to do. But with giving it the right amount of time, I can start strengthening at the end of next week. I wouldn't want to try and do a press up right now. So it's pretty lame. Yeah, I mean, it was out for 3 hours, so all of the little muscles around it and tendons, everything gets quite a stretch. So yeah, there's been lots of little exercises, and I can start strengthening it, like I say, next week, and then in sort of 10-12 weeks it should be 100%. Quite frustrating.
You have a breakthrough with it though, when you were doing something really random.
Yeah. I was actually hanging a blind in this room and the chair broke underneath me, and it really, really stretched it back. And ever since then, it's been a lot better. Yeah.
I love it. You can't prescribe that sort of stuff, but hey.
Yeah.
So we mentioned before as well your work, because you're obviously CEO with the British SailGP team. So you were saying you're sort of doing some of the work in the morning and then family time, but obviously, the calls come in and you've got the team to think of. So how easy is it for you working from home, and like, I don't know, how important is it for the team camaraderie and keeping that unit going, even though the events aren't currently happening?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I mean, SailGP, obviously, the events for San Francisco and New York have obviously been cancelled, and we're still kind of waiting to work out what's going to happen with the rest of the season. From Ineos's point of view, they've obviously got their America's Cup campaign, which is the most pressing thing on their mind, and the SailGP is obviously, they're really, really enjoying it, and obviously doing an incredible job as well over the sailing. So we've been, keeping communication with Ben, or I have been, and about what's going on, and then quite a few discussions and meetings with, the upper management. But I think we're SailGP is obviously just on hold for a minute. It's really uncertain what's going to happen with the future. So there's been quite a lot of discussions about that. But from my point of view, I end up working from home the majority of the time anyhow, and I'd normally be in London 1 or 2 days a week. And since everybody's been in lockdown, or pretty much since we got back from Sydney, to be honest, the work was limited in London and travel. So I've kind of got used to working from home, and it hasn't really changed. And so that's not really any different. And it just means that everybody else is home at the same time. So if I've got a conference call, then there's just a bit more noise to quieten down. But it's all good. It's such a tricky time, and it's such a shame for all sport, and I think, everything's being affected, and anybody that works in the industry of sport is so frustrated. And it's going to be really interesting, because I think, obviously I'm sure I'm no politician by any means, and it's obviously going to affect people's the money available for sponsorship and sport and so on. But I'd say also the flip side of that, people's keenness to get out there and do the things that they love doing is going to be higher than ever. So it's going to be really interesting times when if everything hopefully goes back to normal, and we can start traveling again and start doing what we love.
Totally. It's no one can predict. I mean, as you say, we can listen to the media and we can sort of think about the what ifs, but I mean, I guess you sort of have your own mantra, don't you? Like you were saying, you've just got to keep fit, you've got to do what you can, and hang out with the kids and try and them on the skateboard ramp. Have you been going on the skateboard ramp? Come on.
No, I haven't. It's quite frustrating, because basically I think I was 22 when I first beat my dad at squash, which was like the game that we always used to play together. And I remember it was like a huge moment for me. And when I dislocated my shoulder, I was trying to keep up with my lad who's 9 on his snowboard, and while I've been not able to get on the skate ramp, he's definitely got better than me at skateboarding, which is blooming frustrating. It's just ticking off the sports.
You've got this 22 number in your mind, and he's doing it at night.
Yeah, I hope that it's going to be a little longer.
What did you do then? What were you trying to show him something new? Were you trying to keep up when you hurt yourself snowboarding?
Oh, yeah. He'd just done something that I was quite surprised about, and and so I followed him over the big jump, and went a bit too big and completely cleared the landing and landed on the upslope and just buckled onto the ground. But there we go.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing so much.
It was funny.
Beautiful flight, just the landing that you missed. Whole area. Oh, well, I'm glad you're on the mend now. That's the main thing. At least you can use this lockdown time to do your rehab. So aside from maybe not following Harry on snowboard or skateboard, is there anything else that you've learned about yourself whilst in lockdown? A lot of different times at the moment. Are you learning anything about yourself?
Well, I've learned that I'm no good at indoor DIY. I made such a pig's ear of ceilings and windows yesterday. I walked away to do something else and came back, and the ceiling had gone off before I'd put it into a cove. So I've got to redo the whole thing. But that's probably the biggest thing I've learned. And yeah, I think, you know, it's just a good reminder that, you know, you don't have to go away, and you can, there's everything you need and everything you want at home. And you know, I've traveled all over the world with work, and we've traveled all over with family, and the reality is that it's pretty great here, and England's got everything you need. And I just cannot believe how good the weather's been. It's been insane. I think today's the first day of rain in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's made me appreciate our local area a lot more.
Yeah, that's great. And you were mentioning there about all the travel you've done. I mean, over the last decade, you've lived in so many different countries. And of course, your children have arrived in that time. So, you know, I'm sure as they get older as well, many like family discussions. So how's that family discussion going now as this new challenge has come along that you're all staying inside when, you know, I know very much as a family, you're super active and you really involve the kids in all that you do and travel and everything. So still lots of chats explaining to them what's going on?
To be honest, they're old enough that they seem to be kind of all over it, which has been, yeah, quite a blessing, I guess. There hasn't been that many questions about it. They've kind of been quite accepting, which is I guess has been great. But you know, there's still a lot of chat about the things that they really want to do. When, you know, my son's got his birthday in 10 days, and you know, he's gutted that his birthday is going to be just us four, but we'll try and do something online or something like that. Yeah, I think it makes us, like I say, appreciate where we live, but also want to go and do the things that we love doing all together, and as much as possible after this when we can.
So that leads me to my next and last question. What are you looking forward to most when lockdown's over? What have you been craving? It might be something really simple, or it may be something really extreme.
I'll definitely go for a surf. And to be honest, the weather's going to be good, so I'm really looking forward to going kite foiling again. But it should be the best thing about this time of year is the water just starts getting warmer again, and we're still getting a few waves in England. So it's a great time for taking the family in the water, and they're really excited about that. So hopefully there's going to be a few. I mean, it's this last 3 or 4 weeks has just been, you know, toasty down there in North Cornwall. The wind's been offshore and looks incredible. So look forward to a bit more of that, hopefully. And yeah, teaching Harry to kite surf, and H's rehab's coming along nicely. So so she'll be getting into a bit of kiting and getting Lily into the surf and things like that. So that should be really fun. And like I say, I'm really looking forward to getting kite foiling again, because I got to do a little bit of that last year and absolutely love it. It's like sailing a moth in your first week the whole time. You know, you just ear to ear grin, like it's absolutely silent, effortless, and just non-stop. So I'm looking forward to some of that. My foil's in the garage ready to go.
Literally, as soon as lockdown ends, it'll be like a cartoon. There'll just be dust and be gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you talk about that in silence, I mean, it's just time away, isn't it? Are you getting the same from Zwift when you go into, I don't know if you've got a pain cave set up or anything. You know, you said you're rubbish at it, but you know, it's just a little mental space, a little break away from what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting, the Zwift. It's amazing how the screen makes the monotony so much like the actual, and being able to you know, draft other bikes and climbs and things like that. It's good. When I first started, I was using H, my wife's avatar. So she's like, you know, 10 kilos less than me. So my wattage to weight ratio looked pretty spectacular. And I'd always pop up there on the doing quite well on the rankings in some stuff. But since I've had my own avatar, it's been a bit of a realization that, yeah, I've got my work cut out, but it's really good. But I don't think our positioning of it is great right now, because I've got it. It's in the office, so I don't think it doesn't kind of like segregate the fitness training from the work well enough. But it's been good, but I think getting out and going running has been the nicest thing. I've just been really enjoying getting back into that.
Have you got? Is Ida nearby? Your dog? Have you got any pets? Whether we can meet your pets?
Yeah, we've got a cat and a dog. Let me go and see what I can do. Yeah, we've been very lucky to have a dog at this time, which has obviously kept us very busy. And I don't know whether she thinks it's Christmas or just wants everyone to go away and leave her alone for a few hours. But Lily's actually done some really good training with her. She can now roll over and all this other stuff. So she's been great. She's been getting us outside loads.
That's brilliant. It's so nice to meet her. What's happened to your sofa, Chris? It looks really posh on top.
Yeah, well, yeah, this the dog ate the bottom out of the sofa, so it's got a couple of cushions underneath it. That was the last thing that she ate, and we'd never even sat on it before she ate the bottom of it. But yeah, so it's got a few cushions to pad it out of it.
I love it. Well, at least Lily can teach her how to roll over.
Yeah, can't stop her eating a sofa, but.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. You've really cheered me up. It's been lovely to catch up and hear what it's like in lockdown for you and how you're keeping up sort of normal life as much as you can, even though it's very unusual at the moment.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. No worries.
Join me next week when I chat to ocean racer Dee Kafari. She has sailed around the world 6 times and became the first woman to sail single-handed, non-stop around the world in both directions. If there's anyone that can teach us about coping in isolation, it's her. So check back in next week on YouTube. You don't want to miss this.